Social media is currently saturated with people attempting to project total apathy, mimicking the blank, rigid expression popularized by specific anime characters. Most often, this manifests as an aesthetic choice, an attempt to look cool through a deliberate lack of reaction. In clinical and high-stakes settings, the conscious suppression of outward emotion is documented as the poker face defense. It is a calculated methodology for managing the flow of sensitive information. The strategy exists to counter a specific biological vulnerability. In high-pressure environments, like police interrogations or legal negotiations, the human brain is hardwired to leak internal states through involuntary microexpressions, subtle muscle twitches that betray our thoughts in fractions of a second. While a standard physiological response involves spiked heart rates and shallow breathing, the poker face defense requires an absolute manual override of the autonomic nervous system to prevent those internal spikes from reaching the surface. Successful execution relies on a total internal detachment. You force the natural biological response to submit to a central, calculated command, turning the human face into a featureless wall. The practical application of this defense is most visible in high-stakes gambling. At this 1970s poker table, the man in the white hat has to ensure that a sudden change in his hand doesn't alter his expression, as a single leaked twitch could cost him the entire pot. Neutralizing the face begins by consciously releasing the tension in the muscles surrounding the eyes and the mouth. By maintaining this blank slate approach, you cut off the physical triggers that allow involuntary microexpressions to form. This control then extends to body language. All nervous fidgeting, drumming fingers, or rapid foot tapping or knuckle cracking is eliminated in favor of a relaxed, hyper-deliberate posture. You move only when you intend to move. Vocal control provides the next layer of defense. Because high stress naturally raises vocal pitch and alters your speaking cadence, the defense requires locking the voice into a flat pitch and maintaining a strictly measured pace. The language itself is stripped of emotional weight. By removing adjectives like excited, angry, or worried, and relying solely on factual, neutral descriptions, you prevent the listener from finding a narrative hook in your speech. When physical relaxation of the face combines with rigid vocal and postural control, the subject becomes a statistical void, offering opponents no data to analyze. Maintaining this shield requires intense cognitive control, compressing emotional spikes into a flat line. This flattening allows a subject to blend in. In the White Room, Ayano Koji suppressed his reaction so thoroughly he scored exactly 50% on exams, leaving a void of reaction. While some use this for survival, others use it for manipulation. Light Yagami from Death Note demonstrates how the poker face defense can be used offensively to build unearned social capital. Light's personality, marked by high extroversion and remarkably low neuroticism, allows him to simulate empathy and warmth while masking a chaotic, narcissistic inner monologue. Because he does not show anxiety, even under extreme tension, he appears fundamentally trustworthy to those around him. He secures this trust through concise, non-filler speech. By speaking only when necessary and maintaining a stable nonverbal presence, he projects an authority that prevents even trained investigators from questioning his motives. Whether the goal is blending in or standing out, the psychological requirement is a deliberate disconnect between internal experience and external reality. The effectiveness of this defense changes when it transitions from a situational tactic into a permanent state of being. Over time, the constant suppression of the self leads to irreversible emotional detachment. When you systematically ignore your own feelings to maintain control, you eventually lose the ability to form genuine connections with others. Relationships become purely instrumental. If you no longer experience empathy, the people in your life are reduced to tools, objects to be managed or manipulated rather than partners to be understood. This leads to the erosion of social capital. Hiding your true identity to maintain absolute control eventually burns away the loyalty and trust of those around you, as the lack of vulnerability makes genuine intimacy impossible. Light Yagami's trajectory illustrates this decline. His commitment to total cognitive control morphed into severe paranoia. By the end, his inability to trust anyone, even those he manipulated, left him entirely isolated. The mechanism designed to protect the mind from external threats becomes the very thing that hollows it out from the inside. When you spend years treating your own emotions as data to be suppressed, the neural pathways for experiencing them begin to atrophy. It doesn't just hide your humanity, it eventually replaces it, You become the mask, trapped in the vacuum you created.